I'm sure you've heard the news. On October 20th, 2011, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, the revolutionary leader who once envisioned a united and sovereign Africa, was brutally executed in a drainage ditch near Sirte, Libya. Want VIP access to Africarized? Join our YouTube membership for early video access, exclusive members-only content, personal shout-outs, special badges and emojis, support us and enjoy perks. Join now, let's grow together. His killing was not a judicial sentence passed down by a court, but a savage act carried out by rebel fighters, egged on by a NATO-led campaign that cloaked regime change in the language of humanitarianism. To many in the West, Gaddafi was a madman, a dictator, and a relic of the Cold War. But for many Libyans and Africans, he was more than a strong man. He was a symbol of defiance against Western hegemony, a builder of modern Libya, and a champion of Pan-African solidarity. His execution and the chaos that followed reveal a story of strategic deception, resource-driven warfare, and the dismantling of an independent African voice. I don't think people understand the transformation of Gaddafi's Libya. Before Gaddafi's fall, Libya stood as one of Africa's most prosperous nations in terms of human development. His 42-year rule was undeniably authoritarian, but the country also witnessed unprecedented social and economic advancements. Celebrate African heritage with Africarized. Explore our collection of inspired apparel, home decor, and accessories. Wear pride, embrace culture, and support creativity. Shop now using the link below. Free healthcare and education. Gaddafi made education and healthcare entirely free for all citizens. Illiteracy dropped from over 80% in 1969 to under 20%. Healthcare became one of the most advanced in Africa, with Libyans often receiving medical treatment abroad at the state's expense. Housing and basic needs. He declared that a home is a human right and invested heavily in public housing. Libya had no external debt and maintained strong social welfare programs. The government provided grants for newlyweds, interest-free loans, and subsidized food and fuel. Big thanks to 𝒄𝐽𝒆𝐺 for powering our site. Launch your dream website or store with lightning-fast hosting, a free domain, and 24/7 support. All at unbeatable prices. Perfect for blogs, brands, or businesses. Start building now via the link below. The Great Man-Made River Project. Gaddafi launched the Great Man-Made River, one of the largest civil engineering projects in the world, providing fresh water to the desert and enabling agriculture in one of the most arid regions on Earth. It was entirely Libyan-funded and managed. Pan-African vision. Gaddafi spent billions supporting African liberation movements from the ANC in South Africa to anti-colonial struggles across the continent. He dreamed of a United States of Africa with one currency, one military, and independence from the IMF, World Bank, and former colonial powers. The Gold Dinar Plan. Perhaps his most ambitious and controversial project was his push for a gold-backed African currency, a real threat to Western economic dominance in Africa. This plan would have liberated African economies from the CFA franc, which is controlled by France, and from dependence on the US dollar. The West's betrayal, regime change disguised as rescue. When protests broke out in Libya in early 2011, Gaddafi responded with military force. It was brutal but not unusual in the Middle East. Yet the international response was swift and coordinated. Under the guise of protecting civilians, the UN Security Council passed Resolution 1973, which allowed for NATO's intervention. What followed was not a neutral peacekeeping mission, but a sustained bombing campaign that targeted Gaddafi's forces' infrastructure and even attempted to assassinate him from the air. The controversial and unjust assassination of Gaddafi revealed that key Western powers, France, the United States, and the United Kingdom, had motives far beyond human rights. France sought to secure oil contracts, stop the gold dinar, and silence Gaddafi's influence in Francophone Africa. The United States wanted to prevent African economic unity, ensure oil access, and eliminate a defiant, independent regime. What should have been an international investigation or tribunal was instead a calculated execution of a sitting head of state. His death was not justice. It was vengeance disguised as liberation. The killing, humiliation, and extrajudicial execution. On October 20th, 2011, after a NATO airstrike on his convoy, Gaddafi was found hiding in a drainage pipe. Videos circulated of his capture. Bloodied, terrified, and begging for his life. He was beaten, humiliated, and then executed with a gunshot to the head. No trial, no due process. Just a mob execution encouraged, if not orchestrated, by global powers that had once welcomed him in European capitals. Video evidence. Multiple cell phone videos taken by rebel fighters at the scene show Gaddafi being dragged from a drainage pipe, bloodied and disoriented. In one widely circulated video, a fighter appears to forcefully insert a metal object into Gaddafi's buttocks. This footage was analyzed by Global Post and other media outlets. A frame-by-frame breakdown of the video is available on The World from PRX, which shows the abuse in detail. Human Rights Watch findings. Human Rights Watch, HRW, conducted an extensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding Gaddafi's death. Their report, Death of a Dictator, Bloody Vengeance in Sirte, states that after his capture, Gaddafi was subjected to brutal beatings and was wounded with a bayonet in the buttocks. His lifeless body was displayed in a meat locker in Misrata, an act of humiliation rather than closure. A UN report later confirmed he was extrajudicially killed, a war crime under international law, yet no one was ever held accountable. The aftermath, a nation and continent in ruins. Gaddafi's fall was not followed by freedom, but by anarchy, tribal warfare, and national collapse. Libya today is a failed state with two rival governments, dozens of militias and foreign mercenaries. ISIS and al-Qaeda affiliates established footholds after 2011. Human trafficking and slavery re-emerged in the power vacuum. Infrastructure collapsed, and once free healthcare and education are now luxuries. Africa without Gaddafi. His death silenced one of Africa's strongest voices against Western economic imperialism. The African Union lost a key advocate for continental unity and sovereignty. Many African nations that relied on Libyan investment were left stranded. The gold dinar plan died with him, and Western monetary control over African economies remained intact. Conclusion, a tragic end, a stolen future. Muammar Gaddafi was no saint, but he was more than the caricature drawn by Western media. He uplifted his people, challenged colonial powers, and dared to dream of an Africa free from foreign domination. His murder was not just the fall of a man, but the betrayal of a people and a continent. It was the destruction of a vision, flawed but bold, of African independence, dignity, and unity. Today, Libya stands in ruins, and Africa remains entangled in the same neo-colonial structures Gaddafi tried to break. His execution was not justice, it was geopolitical assassination, dressed in the robes of democracy.